Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, August 10th. I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us. Now on to tonight's story. Well, there is systemic racial discrimination in Baltimore, the police department. This scathing finding comes from a 163-page report done by the U.S. Department of Justice. The document also makes recommendations to improve how officers do their job. All this released at a news conference today. Our Denise Douglas was there and now has all the details.
Yes, very detailed news conference, and this report, as we've been talking earlier, does not paint a very bright picture of the Baltimore Police Department. At that news conference, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake emphasized that there is a need for more transparency and creating a new culture in the Baltimore Police Department. And this report, she believes, is a starting point. The 163-page investigation took place over 14 months and was done by the Department of Justice. Its primary finding is that the Baltimore Police Department has engaged in years of racially discriminatory policing that targeted Black residents. One example is the case of a Black man in his 50s who was stopped 30 times in less than 4 years, and according to the report, none of the stops resulted in a citation or criminal charge. The investigation also reveals that officers are poorly trained and that there is a lack of police accountability. All of this, Mayor Rawlings-Blake and other officials said, must be changed.
Policing issues have taken on a new urgency in the national discussion in light of the tragic shootings in recent weeks, as well as the developments in our own city. It's so very important that we get this right. The report's assessment and its follow-up to it will help us to heal the relationship between the police and our communities.
We conclude that there is reasonable cause to believe that BPD engages in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates the Constitution and federal anti-discrimination law. BPD engages in a pattern or practice of making unconstitutional stops, searches, and arrests, using enforcement strategies that produce severe and unjustified disparities in the rates of stops, searches, and arrests of African Americans, using excessive force, and retaliating against people engaging in constitutionally protected expression. These violations have deeply eroded the mutual trust between BPD and the community it serves.
Okay, so that trust is part of what the focus will be in terms of rebuilding it between the communities and the police department. The mayor says that officials have come up with 26 policy changes that address a number of issues, including revising the use of force and revamping the approach to officer accountability. So a lot of work here.
Yeah, now the findings aren't unique just to Baltimore, but what's the next step? What are they going to do about this?
The next step, Department of Justice plans to go out and speak with police officers, community members, civic leaders, all of those folks, and pick their brains. You know, what are solutions? What do you think needs to be done that we can add to what we already know in order to try to make changes here?
This could be costly, can it?
Absolutely. Not cheap, but they are determined to make this happen and get some kind of action done. $5 to $10 million annually is what they are talking about.
So the mayor says she wants to make this a model for other cities. Can that happen, or how does she plan to do that?
Well, that's their hope. They're hoping that once this reform is in place, that folks will look at Baltimore and say, hey, they've done it, we can too in our city.
Okay, Denise, thank you very much. All righty. Well, the report comes as the city continues to heal from the Freddie Gray case, but officials say that it was not conducted as a result of that incident. Gray died of a broken neck while in police custody, bringing to the fore questions about officer training and their interaction with the community. The report criticizes the police department in both of those areas, so we asked city residents, what do they think about this?
There has been a lot of racial profiling because the skin color should not be that way. It should be based on whatever the person does. And a lot of times we're stopped senselessly. And then, you know, many of our people end up dead because of senseless reasons. So I'm glad that they have done an investigation, because maybe now it will change.
That's it. It needs to be changed. They need to get rid of all them people that's been there and put some new ones in.
Does this surprise you at all?
No, I'm not surprised. I said it's been crooked all the time. Poor the state's attorney Jessamy, she couldn't prosecute anybody because the police union was so hard on her that she wasn't able to do anything.
The mayor says that, you know, they are going to make changes. Do you believe that, you know, we'll see changes?
We'll see.
In a statement, Senator Ben Cardin expresses concern for the findings of the report, adding that he looks forward to working with both federal and local officials to implement the needed reforms. Meantime, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan gave a brief reaction to the Justice Department report this afternoon while visiting Ellicott City. He says he hasn't read the findings, but he'll take a close look. As the city moves forward, Hogan says he trusts Police Commissioner Kevin Davis.
The report has caused a lot more attention on Maryland again from the nation about what it says and how Baltimore treats its citizens. How do you think that that reflects on the state to have that sort of attention on us?
Well, I could just say that the new police commissioner, I think, is doing an incredible job. We're very happy with him and have a great working relationship. I believe they've already implemented like 26 of the changes that were potentially recommended in this report, although I haven't seen the report. That's just what I heard. And I'm looking forward to the new leadership in Baltimore.
Maryland Democratic Congressman Steny Hoyer also reacted tonight, calling the report deeply troubling. Meantime, former Governor Martin O'Malley sidesteps questions regarding his policing strategy during the time as mayor of Baltimore. O'Malley told MSNBC that the Justice Department only looked at the time period from 2010 forward and not the time when he was in the mayor's office. The DOJ report contains a blistering analysis of the zero-tolerance policies he adopted to end violence in the city during his tenure from December of 1999 to January 2007. The report says that street enforcement prioritized officers to make large numbers of stops, searches, and arrests, and often resorted to force. Well, the neonatal intensive care unit at Prince George's Hospital Center remains shut down tonight. The move follows the discovery of a potentially deadly bacterium in 3 of the infants.
What we noticed was that there was a cluster of positive swabs that were above what our normal number is. And because of that, we then began our investigation.
Officials with Prince George's Hospital Center learned of the Pseudomonas infections on Sunday. 3 infants tested positive for the bacterium. 2 days later, the decision was made to shut down the neonatal intensive care unit and transfer the remaining 9 infants to Children's National Medical Center in Washington.
Pseudomonas aeruginosa is a type of bacteria that is commonly encountered in the healthcare setting.
Officials say the 3 infected infants are showing no symptoms. It was after those 3 cases that 2 others in the unit died, but officials say no link has been established between the outbreak and the 2 deaths.
Patients in our NICU are critically ill patients. These are small preemies usually, and so they often have a multitude of conditions that put them at risk for dying. But there's been no clear cause of death that's been related to the infection itself.
Pseudomonas is commonly found in water. The hospital's entire water system was tested, and the bacterium was discovered in a water pipe near the NICU.
We have contracted with a water company to come in and help us with obtaining adequate water samples to be assessed, and those are currently being collected and analyzed.
Water quality experts say chlorine usually kills the bacterium, and in a statement issued yesterday, WSSC says samples taken nearest the hospital indicated no problems when it tested for chlorine levels.
We are working collaboratively with our partners, the University of Maryland School of Medicine, along with the state and the county, to get to the bottom of the source of this bacterium.
And officials say the bacterium appears to be confined to the NICU. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott.